Hello, today is Ash Wednesday and we begin the season of Lent. Ash Wednesday is a day that many Christians set aside as a special day. It is a day to remember our humanness and our mortality. It is a day that begins, as he said, the season of Lent, a time for reflection, penitence and preparation for Easter. Ash Wednesday also signifies great hope. The fundamental thrust of Lent is conversion, a renewal of our baptism that we had when we were converted to Christ, a conversion of our hearts to God. The formula that we will use for the imposition of ashes calls us to repent and believe the good news, to believe in the gospel. In the gospel reading we hear today, Jesus reflects on three traditional dimensions of Lenten practice: good works, prayer and fasting. These practices have their origins and root in the Jewish scriptures. Let's look at these practices: prayer, penance and good works. What can they mean for us today, and how do they apply to our times? These Lenten practices must be carried out so that we can discover in our lives the authentic work of a true believer. They must become instruments to help us to serve God with austerity and generosity. Our Lenten practice must then reflect an honest reflection and recognition on our part of the need for our interior purification. But again, we must understand, what do we mean by purification? Lenten purification is not something negative or punitive or almost masochistic, imposed from the outside. But it is rather a period of interior purification, which releases us from various types of entrapment that exist within ourselves, but which we often fail to fully recognise. Purification should lead us away from all that is alienating within us into that freedom which we discover in our real selves. Lent is not just ashes for one day. It is a serious business about the more serious things of life. Christianity is not a religion of negatives and repression, but a faith which opens our hearts beyond our limitations and beyond our known competencies to be able to construct a real hope for personal enrichment and for an enrichment of the society and the world in which we live in. Belief in God is not about a God of magic, but it is about a creation which goes beyond anything we can fathom, just at any moment in history. In today's world, we use the term authenticity about the manner in which we integrate true values into our life. How are we to be authentic Christians? If we authentically recognise the Lordship of God, and are challenged to look at life in a different way, at relationships with others and with the gifts of creation. If God is Lord, then our attitude to his creation must be inevitably different. We will be challenged to recognise that the creation God has given us is destined for the good of all, and that the harmony within nature is damaged by the selfishness of individuals. Ash Wednesday is a unique day within the Catholic tradition, and we are called to reflect on how we stand in our own lives and what our value system is. It means renouncing any tendency to live as if our purpose of our life was just for our own personal fulfilment and our own rights and our own image. The formula for the imposition of the ashes, repent and believe the gospel, is an appeal to each of us to identify where we have drifted away from authenticity, very often almost without knowing it, into being self-centred and self-seeking. We are all called to repent. As believers, we are called to turn back again to what is authentic in our faith, so that we can be more authentic in our lives. If we fail to be authentic in our faith, then we will fall quickly into indifference and into hypocrisy. And like the pseudo-believers, there is little more alienating in any life than such hypocrisy. So enjoy Lent Work towards growing in that relationship with Jesus Christ in your acts of prayer, your acts of almsgiving, and your acts of love. Look out for acts of random kindness. These will help you in your growth towards Jesus. Have a happy Lent.